Growing up, I was like kind of equally good at everything, but not great at. I'm looking at my life in front of me. There are a million different lanes that I can take, and I think that I can be happy in a lot of them. So that helps me to take the pressure off.
I think it's really important for young men in general, and just anybody, but specifically young men, being able to wake up and be like, I know my values and who I am, and that's how I frame myself, and that's how I'm coming into the world. Because that, I think, really helps me at least be, when something crazy happens or something that's hard, I know what I'm falling back on. So this is episode 2 of the AVENTYR podcast, and obviously me and Ben are not looking over the screen today. We are in person in Red Dunes, New Mexico, camping, as you can see behind us. Yeah. I don't know if we've formally introduced ourselves before, but
Yep,
I'm
right.
Bergen, one of the co-founders.
I'm Ben, second co-founder.
Yeah, you're the cooler one. No, but yeah, so we're doing like a little founders meetup, plus just hanging out as friends and getting a little adventure, a little time in the desert. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that kind of sums up what we're doing.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, we're taking the chance to something that we would do normally, just come out here and camp
Yeah,
and do volunteer work while we're out here, because
yeah,
this is a big part of I think what we love to do and what's important to us, and that we share a lot.
yeah,
So I think it's a good chance to sort of bring that into Aventure and then explain to people why we talk about nature and stuff like that, why it
yeah.
matters to us.
Very true. Yeah, I think that's a really good piece. Like, I mean, this is really a part of our friendship and brotherhood, and it makes us feel really. It makes me feel really like sound and peaceful and reset. I feel like that's kind of what I crave when I come and camp, and also just getting to have some like time away from the screens, away from the social media and distractions, and just be able to, enjoy all of this, whatever it is, even if it's not here, but just enjoy being outside and reconnecting to the earth, not in sort of like, obviously I feel pretty connected to the earth spiritually, but much more of just like getting away from buildings
Yeah.
in the most cheesy way possible.
Yeah, the majority of the world it looks more like this than
Yeah.
what we're used to in our everyday life. So I feel like it's nice to get back to that for me.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. I'm curious if you can talk about what sort of being outside meant to you throughout life, especially growing up, because you lived in a bunch of different places, if that evolved or if you felt like you've always had sort of the same feeling.
Yeah. That's a really good question. I definitely know when so both my parents were big outdoors people. They did the PCT, like Pacific Crest Trail. So hiked from Mexico to Canada, and obviously wasn't born yet, but I definitely think their influence of going out and camping, that was like our big family activity. Almost every time we would just hop in our camper van and just go camp somewhere and hang out. So I always viewed it fondly, um, just adventuring. And every time we go to a campsite, me and my brothers would just do what we just did and just go explore. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. And either make believe that we're like Indiana Jones, gonna go find like a treasure, or we're just playing on rocks and I don't know, just kind of adventuring. So I feel like that's what it felt like at the beginning. And then it really has not changed much. I would say I always get really excited to go camp. I feel like I always play in nature and really enjoy that freedom. And I feel like there's not a lot of butterfly. There's not a lot of confines that I feel like I'm a part of when I'm out and about in nature. I feel like I can kind of just be truly myself as a man. And I feel like that is like one of my favorite things about it, is that I feel like I become really in tune with myself. So that probably sounds pretty cheesy, but it's true to me. I feel like a lot of people feel that way about nature. And I think because a lot of people say that, it's because it's true.
Yeah.
It's just a common experience. Like, you take away distractions, you take away expectations. And even since I was a kid and now being almost 25, I still feel the same. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. What about you?
I'd say for me, I had a different experience. I would describe my parents as moderately outdoorsy, but not to the same degree as yours. So I grew up obviously in Bozeman, doing outdoorsy stuff, but it wasn't a huge part of my life, I would say. But I think really it hit me after I left Montana, kind of cheesy also, but I really didn't appreciate what I had there until I left, I think. I remember, like, the first semester of school in Vermont, I, like, drove home after that, like, all the way across country, and, I mean, Vermont's nice too, it's, like,
Yeah.
a great outdoorsy place. I drove across the whole country, the Midwest, whatever, got to, like, Eastern Montana, and that chunk of Eastern Montana is, like, super flat, and then, like, right I think before you hit Billings, you hit, like, the Rocky Mountains, and there's that first mountain range.
Yep.
And I remember just seeing that and being like, "Oh, like, I'm back."
Yeah.
Just a whole new like, seeing it through a whole new lens than when I lived there,
Yeah.
and so that definitely I think I developed an appreciation for it,
Yeah.
and then honestly, I've developed it, like, even way more so now after graduating college, probably because in Vermont, I still had, like, really good access, and now living in DC, it's, like, even harder. So, I think now I just crave it even more, and
Yeah.
when I do get to do something like this and be out here, it's so refreshing that I just have, like, an even more elevated appreciation for it.
Yeah. That makes sense. So what's like what changed like when you drove back and saw that first like big mountain?
Dude,
Were you like just like what happened?
I think it's like a weird I don't really know exactly how to describe it, but there's something about, like, this experience being able to see for probably 10 miles over the horizon
Yeah.
that was so just normal to me growing up, and then when I went to school on the East Coast, I never got that. Even in Vermont, where, like, it's really pretty, there are mountains, it's a nice place to be outside, but you don't get anything similar to this because it's really rolling hills for kind of the whole state,
Yeah.
so you might see for a mile maybe, if I had to guess, at
Yeah.
any given point, but there's no similar thing where it's like a huge valley that stretches for miles and you can just see the whole thing,
Yeah.
and so I feel like that was what hit me
Okay.
more than everything, was just, like, the scale and the vastness of it. I don't know, something just clicked in my mind, and I was like, "Wow, that was, like, a really cool." I really appreciated that
Uh-huh.
growing up, but I never knew it, I guess. I
Yeah.
just never realized it,
Yeah.
but it kinda clicked in that moment for me, which was cool. It's a
That's a really
fond
cool
memory now.
moment. That's a cool moment for sure. I mean, dang. Yeah, and it's like weird, like kind of cool, like feeling small like that. It's kind of nice. It's like kind of refreshing
Yeah,
where
that's
you don't
huge.
feel like super important
Yeah,
in nature. Like I feel like being a part of something is like frowned upon, especially for men. It's like you either have to be the best at it
mhm,
or like, no, like
yeah,
I'm not even gonna participate. When I feel like a lot of men, it actually feels so good to just be a part of it and not be the leader, just
mhm,
be like, and I feel like that maybe is what happened when you saw the mountains. You're like I'm actually just driving through this
yeah,
as millions of people probably have done, not even driving, horseback, to
yeah,
foot,
yeah, totally.
animals doing it, the wind's doing it, rain, clouds, like you're just part of all of it. And it's such an easy,
100%.
you can actually bring that into your consciousness when you're out,
Yeah,
you know?
that's a really good point. I wrote a blog post, like,
Yeah.
very similar to that.
That's kinda what I was referencing a
Mhm,
little bit.
where yeah, I had another moment of driving. This was in California, and I was, like, following my girlfriend in the car in front of me,
Yeah.
and I just had a moment of her car in the scale of the whole mountain range, and I just had a moment of, "Wow, we're so small," significant in the scheme of things,
Yeah.
which honestly is a really good realization. I think a lot of people probably need to be reminded of that, myself included,
Yeah.
because it's kinda humbling, but it's also freeing in a way,
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
and it's good to just remember that, yeah, like, you're a part of something
Yeah.
that's bigger than you.
Yeah. It's freeing for me too.
Yeah.
You're like, it's probably what people feel like when they're in New York. Like,
Mhm.
I know it's the opposite of, I mean, there's Central Park, but it's like probably the opposite sort of nature thing, but it's probably similar where you're just like, "Oh, I could be whoever, whatever."
It's a really good comparison, actually.
Oddly enough, and they're like
Yeah,
the complete opposites.
expand on that a little because that's actually a really good point.
Well, I've never been to New York, so I don't know, but I do know what I've heard from interviews of people living there and me being in a city. Like when I lived in Spain, I felt that, and it wasn't as big as New York, but feeling like no one really cares what I'm doing. So I have so much freedom just to fully express myself. And there's not eyes that have seen me before that are like, well, Bergen dressed like that yesterday. Now he's dressing like that. What is he doing? Like I could one day, I feel like when I was living in Spain, I would dress like super nice one day and then I don't know, just do something else. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
Or they were speaking Spanish and I didn't understand. I don't know. But, and I feel like that way in nature too, where I'm like, we're going to go to bed tonight, being a part of it. We're going to wake up and the only people that are going to be seeing each other is you and I
Mhm.
again. And obviously there's no judgment, but it's like between us and the nature is not judging
Yeah.
and trying to like mold you into being like something that society wants. And I'm not trying to go like woo, like F society, get out, like be in nature all the time. Like, that's obviously not realistic. But being able to remind yourself of the insignificance of I'm gonna try to say this without like sounding sad, but the insignificance of your existence is like probably one of the best things you can realize because then you can just do whatever you want. I mean, not whatever you
Yeah.
want, but you can just like who cares?
Yeah.
You can just go. I don't know. Evaluate your life like a I don't know. It's so cheesy, but just like a character, and nobody really cares. I mean, I don't really someone is like looking at me, right? And they might have an insecurity like, "Oh my gosh, I hate this zit on my face." But I'm like, I do not care about their zit.
Yeah.
But that's like probably what they think is like the number one thing. I'm just like
Hmm.
staring at it. So I don't know. I know I was going off a tangent there, but that's kind of the takeaway from nature too that I love is like just getting away
Yeah.
from anything. But ironically, you could probably feel that in New York. That's probably why a lot of people like it.
That's a really great point. I've never
Yeah.
thought about it that way, but you're
Yeah.
100% right.
I don't know.
It
Yeah.
is like very similar, very much the same thing,
Yeah.
but complete opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. Do you feel that way in DC at all? Like coming from Bozeman being, I mean, very small town and you're very involved in the community.
Yeah.
A lot of people knew you to now college being a small college you went to,
Yeah.
and then now being in DC where you're kind of part of a bigger
Yeah.
entity.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Like you definitely I feel like I definitely escaped the pressure of expectation from people who knew me
Hmm.
in the past in terms of like when I meet somebody new, I can sort of cast myself as whoever I want to be. Obviously, like I have an authentic me that I don't stray too far from.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a degree of flexibility there,
Yeah.
but it's also little. It's not the same quite as like a New York. I think
Yeah.
it's just smaller
Yeah.
and there's less opportunity to truly be anonymous. But
Yeah.
there's a really good comparison, I think,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
think
because it's
it's
just so big,
yeah,
you know?
I think it's a really good point. Like it does make you worry, or at least for me, it makes me worry less about other shit going on in my life.
Yeah.
Being out here, like you said, nobody's judging, nobody cares, like, you don't matter, basically,
Yeah.
which, yeah, like, it can sound sad, but it's actually totally the opposite because it's
Yeah.
really freeing. It's like,
Yeah.
you can be who you wanna be, do what you wanna do, and you can appreciate all the stuff around you, and then I feel like I can try to take a little bit of that back to my life.
Yeah.
Not to the same degree where I'm like, I'll just go use the bathroom wherever I want,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
like an element of that where it's like, oh, if this one thing that I was hoping would work out doesn't work out the way I wanted it to, then that's okay. Like there are a million possibilities, and I don't need to stress too much about
Yeah.
any one in particular.
Yeah. That reminds me of like, I don't know if you'd want to share, but like your kind of philosophy on life, kind of like letting
Yeah,
things kind of come. But I don't know. I would like you to just maybe to explain it better for me. And just because when you told me about it, I was like, I really want to like take a slice of that, and just being, I
yeah,
don't know. I don't want to try to like take your words, but it seemed like you had a balance of humility and like being vulnerable and almost like just like submissing to life
hmm,
and how it happens, but also like trying hard too.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but not being super attached to the outcome.
yeah,
Like maybe you could like share with anybody who's listening, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people struggle with that. Like
hmm,
I often struggle with the product of like the end needing that to happen a certain way.
hmm,
And if it doesn't happen, everything I did was for nothing. It seems like you approach it like your journey is everything. And
yeah,
if the end happens, great. If it
yeah,
goes a different way, at least you had the journey.
yeah.
I
I
don't know.
think I think that's a good way to describe it. I think like being detached from the outcome to a certain extent is a good way to summarize it. I feel like I told you this a little bit earlier yesterday or something, but
Oh yeah. That's staying in there.
we'll leave that.
That was
Uh,
monstrous.
but growing up, I was like kind of equally good at everything, like, but not great at anything.
Yeah.
In terms of like school is probably the easiest example. On like an SAT, for example, I was the exact same on math and reading or whatever it is, or
Yeah.
like science and whatever. Like all my stuff was sort of similar. So I never had one thing where I was like, I really want to do that. Like I really want to study this. I really want to be this profession. I was always kind of like a generalist, I guess. And so I was kind of okay with a bunch of different things. And I kind of took that into my life, I think, on accident a little bit, where when it came down to picking colleges, yeah, I sort of had that moment of like, I have a few different options, but I'm not like, I never had like the one where I was like, I need to get in there or like my life is ruined or I'm going to be like
Yeah.
super upset. So I was like slightly detached from that outcome in the sense that I was like, I could see myself being happy at several of these places. And I kind of had the classic, like, feel like I should like heart moment, like knew where I wanted to go, and that ended up working out really well for me. And then kind of the same post college too, like in terms of work, was like considering grad school. I was like considering going into the workforce, and I just like applied for a job. I was like, if I get it, great. If not, I'll go to grad school.
Yeah.
And then ended up getting it, so it worked out. But yeah, I was slightly just detached from like the outcomes, not in the sense that I feel like you don't want to take that too far.
Yeah,
Just
for
be like,
sure.
"Ah, I don't care about
That's
anything."
important. Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, I think that just understanding, like, I guess for me, I could see, like, if I'm looking at my life in front of me, there are a million different lanes that I could take, and I think that I can be happy in a lot of them. So that helps me to take the pressure off. Like, I need this one thing to go right for me, and I can be like, I can kind of take it as it comes to a degree. Obviously, still working hard and still having some degree of like assessment of what I want to do and what I think where I want to put my time and effort, but
Yeah.
trying to just maintain a little bit of detachment from what actually ends up happening has helped me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, it's important that you said that it's not like completely like I don't care what
Yeah.
happens. Obviously, you want to give it a good go, but yeah, also just kind of being like okay with pivoting.
Mhm.
'Cause I mean, I feel like that's a guarantee
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah.
It's like you can have a plan, it's just almost never gonna go the way you want it to.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if we're talking about Aventyr, in a perfect world, we would have posted for 3 months and like been able to quit our jobs or whatever and just start doing it, you know? But we've had to pivot a lot. Yeah, like a lot, and that, comes with like us being okay with changing and forming into different modes and then finding our rhythm here,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like I feel like a quick example of like just being able to have something you really want, it's not happening,
Mhm.
knowing that really good things take time, but also knowing that you can pivot. You don't have to just like go headstrong on your one lane because I don't know what's that quote? I forget who it was by. Maybe Bruce Lee. It's like be like water.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
yeah, you pour it into a glass. It's a glass. It's in a lake. It's a lake.
Yeah.
Pour it into your hand. It's the shape of your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like maybe like narrowing down your philosophy on life. I feel like could be kind of like that.
Yeah, I feel like honestly camping is kind of a good example too, because it's like tonight we'll choose that we chose that we wanted to go camping
Yeah,
and we wanted to do it around here. And
yeah,
so we have a plan and we're gonna like we have that goal, we're gonna execute it. You gotta get your vehicle registered in the state of New Mexico. So we went through the 1,000 steps to do that this
yeah,
morning and then got massive burritos to hold us on the drive
yeah,
and got so we did things to actually achieve that goal.
yeah,
But we could get here and it could be pouring rain or something or storming. It would just and we could be like, all right, we're not sleeping in the back of the truck tonight. So we would have to pivot and figure something else out.
yeah,
So I feel like that's kind of a good example. It's good to have a goal and work towards things, but at the end of the day, the outcome is going to be partially determined by you and partially determined by forces completely outside of your control.
yeah,
So yeah, like you said, you got to learn to be able to flow with it.
yeah. Dang, amen to that. That's a good example too. It's funny. It's like it probably happens every day.
Yeah,
Type of decision making.
totally.
Yeah, and it's like kind of funny, like the butterfly effect kind of type of thing, where you make a decision and kind of can continue down that road,
Yeah.
or if you go a different way, but knowing when to change lanes or change. I don't know. I heard this thing the other day. It just made me think of this. Um, it was Matthew McConaughey talking about this like thing he's trying to do in his life right now, like having the capacity, talking about changing lanes, having the capacity. So he was talking about a metaphor where when he was a young man, he was just driving in like a 2-lane highway. So he had 2 lanes he could operate in. And I guess for me, my 2 lanes, I would say I might have two, maybe three, but it's like relationship is a lane for me, a career. I wouldn't say it's like it feels like this, my job I currently have, and kind of planning around that. I would say it's like maybe friends, social time, and I don't know. But it's funny. It's like I'm at this point in life where it's hard for me to expand my lanes out,
Hmm.
which is what he's trying to do as a father, is be able to open more lanes so he can have one lane for one kid and just be able to like give himself more. I just maybe wanted to get your thoughts on that because I don't know how it fully sits with me yet, but I do know I like the organization of life that way. Having different like things you do. Humans are not that simple either.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's like maybe a lot more complex. Maybe there's a lot more roundabouts and stop signs and
Hmm.
stoplights on the road. It's not just a highway. You can just cruise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think I probably agree with you on
Yeah.
that. I kind of like the way of thinking about it. like with the lanes, just to really that I feel like would make me reflect on where I'm spending my time, where I'm choosing to spend my time.
Yeah.
But I agree, like, I feel like, yeah, one lane can stop and another can, like, keep going, and then the first lane can pick up after a time or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's probably not as simple as just 2 lanes on a highway,
Yeah.
but it's kinda useful to think about because you might be like, "Alright, I need to pause this lane right now, do some construction, and then come
Yeah.
back to it for
For sure.
in a bit."
Yeah. Or you're like,
I do like that framing though.
yeah. I don't know why I thought of that. I just kind of like that organization of life, being able to frame yourself in a way of life rather than it being so reactive. Being able to present yourself with your values and wake up knowing how you're framing yourself for the
Mhm.
day. I think is really important for young men in general and just anybody, but specifically young men being able to wake up and be like, I know my values and who I am, and that's how I frame myself,
Mm.
and that's how I'm coming into the world. Because that I think really helps me at least be when something crazy happens or something that's hard, I know what I'm falling back on.